Welcome to reading. This is for fourth grade, lessons 135 and 136. I'm continuing to combine the lessons for today, and we're going to start right off with a vocab quiz. It's your very first one over the first list, so those 5 words. So what I want is for you to have a piece of paper out and number it 1 to 5. If you are not quite ready for this quiz and you want to take a few moments to study, you can pause the video before you take the quiz, and you may study first. Okay, but as soon as you start the quiz, please finish the quiz without looking at your list. Okay, so I'm going to adjust this so that you can see all of the options. I'm going to stand to the side as well, so I'm going to read them just so you can hear all of them in case you can't read something fully. A is having the desire to achieve something. B is suitable. C is our longest one, a gadget, any mechanical device that one does not fully understand. D is easily bent or flexible. And E is to withdraw or go backward, okay? You're welcome to pause the video and write all these down if you don't want to keep looking up at the screen as I give the quiz. All right. I'll try to stay to the side so that you can easily see all of those, okay? So numbering it 1 to 5, and you are, if you will make sure you put your heading on there, your name, the date, Vocab Quiz 1, or if you put VQ1, I will take that. That is what the 6th graders do. So reading VQ1 or just VQ1, as I will know what that is. Okay. All right. And number 1, I'm going to give you the word. Of course, the definitions are up here, so I'm going to give you the word. You're going to write the letter of the definition that goes with that word. The word is retreat. Which definition goes with the word retreat? Okay, number 2 is the word ambitious. Which definition goes with the word ambitious? Number 3, appropriate. Which definition goes with the word appropriate? Number 4, limber. Which definition goes with the word limber? And number 5, contraption. Which definition goes with the word contraption? Okay, if you need to hear those again, you may go back in the video so that you can watch that again. In just a sec, I'm going to go ahead and give the answers to this quiz. So if you did not take the quiz yet, you may want to skip a minute or so. Maybe it may not take that long, maybe 30 seconds, I'm not sure. So I'm going to quickly go over those answers. All right. So number 1 should be E. Retreat is to withdraw or go backward. Number 2 should be A. Having the desire to achieve something is ambitious. 3 is B. Suitable. 4 is D. Easily bent, flexible. And 5 is C. The gadget. Any mechanical device that one does not fully understand is a contraption. All right, I hope you did well with that. You mark the ones that you got wrong and hand that over to your parents. We are going to take a look at the next list while we are because we're moving on to, sorry, I'm going to adjust this so that it's a little bit back to normal, okay? So you finished with the vocab quiz, and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to look at vocab list 2, and then I'm going to give you your reading assignments, and once you finish that, then you will be done with reading for the day. Pretty exciting to have so much of that done. And so if you look at your list, vocab list 2, it should be on the same sheet that you had 1. So it should be just the next list is vocab list 2. Notice that we add a word. So the first time we had 5, now we have 6, okay? We are going to be adding a word every single list till the end. All right, so list 2, abrupt. Abrupt means sudden, unexpected. Apprentice, a person who agrees to work a certain length of time to learn a trade. Instinctively, done without stopping to think. Protruding, sticking out. Sapling, a small young tree. And venture, to say or do even if it is a risk. Okay? And so let's go ahead and I'm going to have you, and if you have not been up and about and standing up, you can stand and you can stretch while we do this. But go ahead and say these with me. We're going to say it 2 times through, and then we'll look at our reading for today. Okay? Abrupt, sudden, unexpected, abrupt. Apprentice, a person who agrees to work a certain length of time to learn a trade. Apprentice. Instinctively, done without stopping to think. Instinctively. Protruding, sticking out, protruding. Sapling, a small young tree. Sapling. Venture, to say or do even if it is a risk. Venture. Abrupt, sudden, unexpected. Apprentice, a person who agrees to work a certain length of time to learn a trade. Apprentice. Instinctively, done without stopping to think. Instinctively. Protruding, sticking out. Sapling, a small young tree. Venture, to say or to do, even if it is a risk. Venture. I think I forgot to repeat the words after some of those, okay? And so you may put that away, and if you'll take a look up here, I put the passage. So with the vocab quiz, we usually have our Bible passage to read. So this is Matthew, MT is that abbreviation. So Matthew chapter 27, verses 32 to 54, and then chapter 28, verses 1 to 10. So you can read that, and then, but I'm going to also give the introduction to the next story. Andy stands guard. Okay, so let me get that ready. All right. So on page 92 is when this story starts, and it says, don't judge, well, the introduction to the story is, don't judge a book by its cover. When a new boy joins your softball team, do you immediately look at him and think, he can't hit the ball? When a new girl comes to your class, are you friendly, and do you get to know her? Or just by looking at her clothes, do you think she isn't nice? People are not always as we first think, okay? So I'm going to read just a little bit of this so that you can hear some of it, and then I'll let you get to reading. Andy Stands Guard by Stanley Young. 12-year-old Andrew Jackson has been left with his aunt to guard the house while his mother and uncle go off looking for news of Andy's brother Hugh, a soldier in America's War for Independence. Aunt Crawford and Andy watch them wind their way down the rough corduroy road. That's a road made of logs laid crosswise, giving it the texture of corduroy cloth. Then they turn to go into the house. Your mother's a brave woman, Aunt Crawford said, wiping her eyes on her apron. Andy nodded. Secretly, he didn't see why his mother had to go looking for Hugh. Hugh was a soldier, a man now. He could look out for himself. Come now, Aunt Crawford said. We've the dishes to do. A frown broke over Andy's face. Uncle said I was to guard the house. You can guard from the kitchen, Aunt Crawford said, smiling. Andy took up his gun and reluctantly followed her. He dried the dishes faithfully, but down to the last pewter cup his eyes and mind were out of the window. He had set his gun up in one of the cabin rifle holes, ready for action. Every cabin, as well as every blockhouse, had these square openings about every 5 feet around the entire building. Andy kept darting from one hole to the other as if he expected a raid any minute. His jumping made his aunt nervous. "You'll have me jumping next," she said. "Go on outside." Andy grabbed up his rifle and tore for the door. There was a tall pine just outside. With his gun fastened to his belt with leather thongs, Andy shimmied up the pine, hugging the tree with his knees until his hands caught the first branch. He pulled himself up and climbed to the highest branch. Shading his eyes, he looked out over the landscape. Far below was 12-Mile Creek, filled with logs pushing their slow way down the valley to the Catawba. Up the valley, right, he could see the smoke curling from Long Potter's house. All right, I'm going to stop reading there, and you're going to read from 94 all the way to 106. And that is going to finish this story. And you're going to have 2 poems to read. And you're going to start the next story, Tall Bram of Little Pigeon. So let me read the introduction to those 3, and then I'll let you get started. So the introduction to Our Native Land. When the Founding Fathers were meeting to establish our country's government, Benjamin Franklin said, "God governs in the affairs of men, and if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an entire great country can rise without his aid? An empire, a great country, can rise without his aid." He and the other men at that meeting understood that our country would never stand unless it was established on God's word. Now it is our responsibility to pray for God's continual help. And then no other land. How do you feel when you are saying the Pledge of Allegiance? We live in a great country with many freedoms. In the poem No Other Land, we are reminded about our great country. And then, Tall Bram of Little Pigeon. Do you enjoy reading? Those of you who raised your hand probably would not run out in front of a moving car to pick up the book you dropped. But for a young boy who lived on the frontier, books were priceless and sparse. Let's open our books to page 104 and read what happens when 2 young boys, a pig, a bull, and a book all meet. Okay, so you're going to start that story and read to 106 to the end of that page. All right. Okay, well, enjoy your reading.